Conservative leader Erin O'Toole began the day in Montreal, the site of last night's French language leaders debate, the first face-to-face meeting of the campaign. O'Toole announced his party's plan to fight gangs and gun violence, including criminal code changes to make it easier to prosecute gang networks and prevent the importation of illegal guns, developing programs to rehabilitate gang members, and a minimum 2-year mandatory sentence for anyone caught with a firearm if they've been previously convicted of a firearms-related offense. O'Toole also repeated a pledge from the debate last night to maintain the ban on assault weapons. But it now appears O'Toole was referring to the 1977 ban on fully automatic weapons in this country, and not the ban on assault-style weapons introduced by the Liberals earlier this year. The Conservative platform promises to repeal those new Liberal restrictions, and O'Toole accused the Liberals of targeting the wrong people.
His approach is not working. He's actually lowering penalties for people that use firearms in committing or threatening violence towards other Canadians. That is not a way to keep Canadians safe. We're going to work with police. We're going to have a targeted program. We're going to divert people out of gangs, and we're going to finally stop this ocean of illegal smuggling into our country.
O'Toole also refused to say if he would offer a buyback program for gun owners whose weapons are banned. There were also calls for clarity from O'Toole today on another key issue from the debate last night, childcare. Erin O'Toole refused to say today whether he will cancel the childcare deals negotiated by the Liberal government with 8 provinces and territories, or provide compensation if he does cancel the deals.
Our approach will help all families. It will give the most flexibility to put parents in the driver's seat, given the uncertainty coming out of COVID, and we're going to help with up to 75% for lower income families, and we will coordinate that with the provinces and their approaches to childcare.
Liberal leader Justin Trudeau began the day in Mississauga, Ontario, where the Liberals are trying to shore up support in key ridings in the GTA. Trudeau focused again on the need for vaccinations and his promise to make double vaccination mandatory for all train and plane travelers. And he called on Canadians to defend frontline workers who've been targeted by anti-vaxxers.
Even as they deal with rising cases in unvaccinated people, they're surrounded and being protested and being harassed and hassled and blocked by anti-vaxxers who are harassing them at the hospitals in BC and Ontario and right across the country. They need Canadians to come together once again in support of them.
And then Trudeau set his sights again on Erin O'Toole, accusing the Conservative leader of misrepresenting his position by answering questions about the Liberal ban on assault-style weapons with answers about the decades-old ban in this country on assault weapons.
He will reverse our move to make it illegal to buy, sell, or use assault weapons in this country. And he got caught saying one thing to his friends in the gun lobby, and it's opposite to Canadians. That's not the kind of leadership Canadians need.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was in Quebec City today, where he unveiled the NDP platform for Quebec. Topping the list of promises, an increase in health transfers to the provinces, a pledge to do away with private for-profit long-term care homes, applying Quebec's French language laws to federal workplaces, and measures to accelerate the fight against climate change.
This isn't a plan to respond to Mr. Legault. This is a plan to respond to Quebecers. And our plan is to make sure Quebecers get the help they need. And that's why we're proud of our offer. And we put a really clear choice to Quebecers. We don't want the price of this pandemic, the cost of this pandemic, to fall on your shoulders, on you or your family or small businesses. We believe that the super rich should pay their fair share.
Singh was also pressed today about his promises for increased health funding for the provinces and whether conditions would be attached. He was clear in pledging to boost general transfers, but then seemed to tie any further increases to NDP priorities.
Our first commitment is to reverse the cuts brought in by Harper that have been maintained by Justin Trudeau. And so that would be our first and immediate step. These are cuts that meant that people got less care. It meant that there were less funding for our hospitals. Those specific cuts that were brought in by Harper, that were maintained by Justin Trudeau, would be the cuts that we would immediately reverse and reinstate funding. And then when we work to expand our healthcare system. We believe that we need to expand it to include medication coverage for all, dental care coverage, mental health services. We want to expand our healthcare, and we are committed to achieving that.
Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet promised today to introduce a private member's bill in the next parliament aimed at protecting the supply management system for Quebec farmers. And Green Party leader Annamie Paul continues to spend her time in Toronto, where she's campaigning for a seat in the House of Commons. Today, Paul called for a national database to track the use of force by police.
We need this database to track victims of incidents of use of force by police, identifying race, ethnic background, and other identities. We want to see the federal government working in conjunction with the provinces to ensure that there are national standards for the collection of this information and that it is shared between jurisdictions.
And that's the kind of day it's been, day 20 of the campaign.